back to the third hour of the weekend. You know, Democrats have wasted no time in laying the groundwork to fight the incoming Trump administration. In California, Governor Gavin Newsom says he'll convene a session of the legislature explicitly intended to, quote, safeguard California values and fundamental rights in the face of an incoming Trump administration. Over in Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker endorsed similar efforts to Trump-proof his state's interests.
To anyone who intends to come take away the freedom and opportunity and dignity of Illinoisans, I would remind you that a happy warrior is still a warrior. You come for my people, you come through me.
Joining us now, two voices we have relied on throughout this election, conservative lawyer George Conway, also with us, New York University history professor Ruth Ben-Ghiat. She is the author of Strong Men, Mussolini to the Present.
Ruth, I'd like to start with you because you've been at this table with us over this past election cycle, and we've talked about this Trumpism and what it looks like. Trump's wanting to be a dictator on day one. Well, America, here we are, and so I want to get your thoughts of what we can now say is the realized form of American fascism that the American people, by some 50+% decided, yes, let's do that.
Yeah, so this is, there's much to say. We are here now. Donald Trump was very skilled at conditioning Americans to think that democracy, and American democracy in particular, was failing. He called, America a garbage can. He spread with his allies disinformation about the economy, said that America was failing, and praised foreign dictators so that he could bolster his own idea of leadership, which is I alone can fix it. And all of these slogans we've seen for years from him add up to this kind of strongman model of leadership, which depends on having an enemy and an internal enemy, the enemy within, so you can justify these kind of crackdowns on the vulnerable, these repressions, and so this is all very unfortunate. But he did a really good job of conditioning over and over. We've had 8 years of this. Americans to see democracy is inferior to something else. That something else would be strongmen ruled by him.
I'm sorry, but oh, Lord. George.
Yes, ma'am.
Just George.
Just me.
George, okay.
All right. I'm with you.
There's a threat, okay? People have been clear about the threat that Donald Trump presents. There are a number of people that voted for him, same number right about now as last time. It's not like there were lots more people that voted for him. But the threat is real, but they voted for him anyway. Now, maybe some people didn't know about the threat. Like, what is your take on this? Because regardless of the amount of information people had when they went to the ballot box and checked that box or they didn't, the things that are coming down the pipeline, I do believe that they chose. All of America didn't choose that, but, we live in a representative democracy, and this is how it works. You go, you cast your ballot, and if you win enough votes in the Electoral College, you win. Donald Trump won enough votes in the Electoral College, he wins. But there are also millions and millions of Americans, 60+ million Americans, almost 70+ million Americans that did not choose this, but will have to live under this.
Well, you've said a mouthful there. That's. I think that the important thing to remember is that only a certain number of people mattered in this election, and we're debating about how those people move back and forth and why. And there's a lot of blame game going, post hoc, post-game analysis attacking Biden and attacking the Democrats for failing to win over Latino voters. But the disturbing thing about this election isn't new. Right? And that's sort of maybe it's why I'm not taking this as badly as people might think. It's like the problem was we always had 40 or 45% or whatever the number is, people who are going to vote for him anyway. They may They may tell you, oh, it's the price of eggs, but they, if it weren't that, it would be, it would be something else. Some of those. I mean, I think there are legitimate voters. There are voters who are actual swing voters who have been negatively affected by inflation. But let's set that aside. Among the 40-something% who are gonna be there no matter what, they consume an information diet that is, self-selected in a way that that is addictive, and they, and this is essentially, we have a bubble around 40% of the population at least, and they don't know basic things about what Trump has done. Whenever Trump says something crazy and starts to perform vulgar acts on a microphone, they change the channel. The network changes the channel.
Talk about Fox News, yeah.
I'm struck, Ruth, by what we're seeing from Democratic governors, right? The fact that they now understand that they're going to be one of the final lines of defense, whether that is Maura Healey in Massachusetts, whether that is Newsom in California, or J.B. Pritzker in Illinois. Talk to me, right? I think we sort of all understand the problem. We understand the threat. What lines of defense are left?
I think we're going to see a lot of courage and resourcefulness at the state level, at the local level, and there's a long history in authoritarian contexts of this. It works best at the beginning of an authoritarian state, or when it's becoming weak, when it's fraying. But there's a long history of bureaucratic resistance inside government, civil servants, as well as, we have the tradition of states' rights, right? And this is part of what these governors are talking about. And it really exemplifies, this was a conflict of values. The Harris-Walz campaign was, joy and hope and solidarity and equity. And, the Trump-Vance campaign responded with crisis and despair and extreme polarization. And so we're going to see these democratic values taken up as an encroaching executive, because that's what authoritarianism is. The executive, the personal power of the leader, wants to overwhelm everything, the judiciary, the media, the local government. And we're going to see this kind of frontline defense in the name of protecting the vulnerable. And that's going to be very inspiring for Americans. And so I'm really glad to see these people speaking out so strongly now.
So, George, Financial Times, I think, put it very starkly, talking about the Dems' graveyard election loss, noting that different politicians, different parties, different policies, and different rhetoric deployed in different countries have all met similar fortunes, suggests that a large part of Tuesday's American result was locked in regardless of the messenger or the message. The wide variety of places and people who swung towards Trump also suggest an outcome that was more inevitable than contingent. The fact is, we are where we are. To your point, it's because this is where people want us to be.
Correct. They may not fully understand all the implications, but this is what they want.
But ultimately, this is what they want.
His, what he was saying appealed to them in some fashion, even if, whether or not they took it literally. And he, Ruth is right. He did a good job in persuading those people he is the solution to problems that, the right-wing media and he have exaggerated.
So what happens then when, on the afternoon of January 21st, the edict goes out from Palace Trump, which will be the new name for the White House, that ICE is now authorized to start rounding up heads of households, because the idea that's newly reported is we go after the heads of households because this whole immigration thing is a little sticky politically. So we'll go after the heads of households and everybody else will self-deport, right? So there are strategies that'll start to take formation. What happens when those strategies are implemented and people start going away when the markets starts responding, because guess what? That entire group of workers who were going to be there to go out and service this community for whatever work they were doing is no longer there. How do people respond?
And the whole effort will be chaotic.
Right.
And
so what happens then? How do the people who want this respond to what happens when they get it?
Well, I mean, immigration is a tricky thing. I mean, people who shouldn't be in the country shouldn't be in the country.
Right.
And I get that. But the way that they're planning how to do this there may be legal issues involved in whether or not the people be given due process. But there may also, there may be excessive use. There could be all sorts of issues, legal issues that are raised. And then we have to ask ourselves the question of, is this the best way to stop the crisis of illegal immigration? Mm-hmm. Is this just for, these people are not, removing these people should be part of enforcing the law for the sake of enforcing the law and not to make a spectacle for political gain. Right. And it's, I think this whole effort will be kind of like the wall was, right? The wall, he loved talking about the wall. But when he actually had a Republican Congress, he asked for teensy-weensy bits of money for a few million here and there, which you couldn't build a wall around this building.
Right.
And then, he went and did that for 2 years. He gets a budget that his own budget negotiators supported, and the Republicans, everybody went home, and he said, I'm going to veto it, because somebody on Fox News, one of these, these propagandists on Fox News started pushing, why is there so little money for the wall? And he shuts down the government for 2 or 3 months. This is the kind of chaos. He can't get this right? And there are going to be not enough resources to do all the crazy things he wants to do. And we're just going to see a mess. And I think one of the things we can do, I'm sorry, there's a long answer, is point out the mess, point out the incompetence. And I think we still need to talk about how he's crazy.
Right.
Okay? Right. Because that has not changed. That did not change at 2 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday.
I don't know. I agree with almost everything George said, except, I don't know.
How did we get here?
I actually think that this deportation effort, which has real economic implications, I mean, that's what Mark Cuban was going around the country actually talking about, the effects of this deportation agenda on businesses, restaurants, so on and so forth. I think that this is one of the things that they've been working on that they could actually do. I don't know. And it's not just people that cross the border, that came in, that are undocumented, that cross the border in a way that not at a point of entry. But they're talking about people with temporary protected status. J.D. Vance in interview after interview was like, that's not something that we recognize as a legal policy. I mean, who's to say they might mess around and be like, you know what? That's the most saddest town, she an immigrant. We about to take her citizenship. This is what they're talking about doing, taking people's citizenship. And they got a Supreme Court that says they can do whatever they want. I'm scared. Should I not be scared? Is it hyperbole? Somebody talk me off the ledge, because I'm on it.